Are you ready for your presentation?
Yes, I can't wait.
You better be. Okay, so before we move forward with your presentation, which by the way, is going to be the first presentation of this magic event, so get ready, make yourself comfortable. So before we move forward, just one thing that I would like to underline about this technology and all the possibility that we get from it. So we just saw 𝗪𝗪𝗛𝗧 here with me in person on the stage in Parma, and then we went all the way to London, and virtually we met with Ashley, which was very exciting. But now we are in London again, and since I have to ask a few questions to Johnny, I would like you to fly over here with me. Hi, Johnny. How can not be a pleasure working with you? When you do hair, you need to work with Johnny and Allilon. You are amazing, guys. But now I want to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind. And even if you mind, I'm still asking you the questions. So here we are. So the theme, you remember, the theme of the Worldwide Tour 2020 is regeneration. Johnny, what regeneration means to you?
I mean, for me, it's a really interesting question. The word regeneration can be seen and viewed in so many different ways. Me personally, I think that the key to think about regeneration is the idea of moving forward, the principles of thinking ahead rather than looking backwards. You can go and describe it in many different facets, which I probably will be doing, but ideally, in a nutshell, it's about moving forward.
We call you, along with your colleagues, regenerators. What is your contribution to the community as a regenerator?
I mean, for me personally, I'm actually planting 9 trees in my garden. Apparently, 3 trees offsets the carbon footprint for one person. I've got 2 sons, so I'm planting 9 trees, 3 for each person.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for your kind answers. And now, I'm sure, as much as me, you can't wait to see Allilon presentation.
So we were asked to talk about regeneration. What came to my mind was regeneration representing moving forward. I realized that you could apply it to so many factors. So the idea of applying regeneration to how people are feeling at the moment, the spiritual regeneration, thinking and having time at the moment to kind of really analyze the choices they're making in their journey. When you have time to reflect, you also look at your values and your morals. The word generation for me is really impactful because some of the most key influential people in my life have been my parents, my father, knowledge being passed down from generations to generations, the wisdom of our elders. Then that takes me into kind of more of an environmental regeneration. You think about the environment, but you also think about the social environment, the communities, the people getting together to help and unite. One of the things that I would love to focus on is the idea of people reconnecting. That for me is something which is really valuable, especially right now when I think about my team and my family and my children. And for me, science and technology can be something that can really help people move forward in a healthy way. It can be used for such amazing things. You know, cell regeneration, living a good lifestyle. Also, science and technology, as we know, can be used to really, really boost and grow the environment. The last subject, which for me is the financial discussion. So when I think of the financial regeneration, and what does that mean? Imagine creating an economy where all the financial institutions were focused on making money by doing good. Completely focused on creating business models that support the environment, on being sustainable. Create an economy which is built on people doing good for the planet and for each other. You know, when I think of Allilon, we've been through a really, really traumatic time as a business. We've evolved, we've changed, we've developed, we've moved in a different direction. Hence Allilon Plus, our online platform, the idea behind accessibility and using technology and science in a positive way to share our passion, to share our knowledge, to try and connect with people that we wouldn't have connected with before. I don't know what I'm going to be doing to the haircut, And that for me is part of the excitement of cutting hair, and that's what keeps me stimulated, is I like to have a starting point and then I just let the haircut evolve. My main focal point at the beginning of this shape is to have a length that sits around the cheekbone area. So I've isolated a zone and I'm going to work with diagonal sections, and I'm going to allow the weight to push forward to the cheekbone. With the wide end of my comb, I'm going to take a diagonal section which is closer to the horizontal, okay? Now I want this length to be long enough to have a bend to it. So I'm going to work diagonal sections up, constantly lifting the hair slightly, maintaining length and weight in the front. When we're talking about regeneration, the thing that keeps kind of rotating in my mind is cellular regeneration, the shapes that they give, stem cells or any kind of scientific view, should we say, I think has an amazing shapes and amazing tone. So that's my first zone done. Now the idea now is to work diagonal sections with the same principles as before. Diagonal again, closer to the horizontal. Taking the section with the wide tooth comb, help me control the texture. So I'm moving into my third zone now. Now what's important is the choice of length I'm going to use for the second shape. Section number 1 in zone 3 is going to be diagonal again, but this time I'm going to go diagonal slightly closer to the vertical, okay? Can you see there's my guide? I haven't combed it down, because if I comb it down, it's going to interact with the hair underneath. Lift up section 2, I go underneath section 1, and I push section 1 up to meet section 2. Section 2 is still going below its base, but it's much more flatter in regards to my shape. I'm not pulling it down so much. Pull the hair up, use the previous shape as the guide, sitting my shape in quite tight. Now I can start to comb the hair down. So I've got a shape and then another shape on top of it. I'm on section number 5. It's going to slowly rotate from this point. 2 more sections, so I'm bringing some more of the crown into this shape. So again, my section is diagonal, but this time it's getting closer to the vertical. That's zone 3. Now that I've cut zone 3 in the back, which is definitely disconnected to the zone 2, I'm going to move into zone 4, which will be around the temple area on the left-hand side. I'm going to section off the zone by going from a low area all the way up to the highest peak of the hairline. Then I'm going to take diagonal sections that are practically vertical. Remember, there's only one vertical, there's one horizontal, but there's many variations of diagonal. As I come through to section number 3, I connect section number 3 to the length behind the ear, which is the last section of zone 3. That's zone 4 done. So now I'm moving on to the hair that's left on the top. I'm going to split it into 2. I'm going to take a section from the crown to the front hairline, which means this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm taking a section from the crown to the front forehead. Do I want it to connect in, or do I want it to be disconnected? I'm going to cut a length that basically will naturally increase towards the front because the head is starting to round itself off. You can see my fingers are aiming towards the ceiling. This is section number 2. I'm going to comb section number 1 and section number 2 in together. Now, a good way of doing this is to lift the hair up. So this is now section 1 and section 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my fingers on the scalp, clamping the 2 sections together. By doing that, I'm guaranteeing that number 1 is moving towards 2 and 2 is moving towards 3. Clamp your fingers and then just come straight up. That way, technically, I'm working on the base. Now, all I need is section 3 and section 2. Both sections meeting in the middle and coming out from the base. From left to right, my lengths are consistent, but from back to front, my lengths are increasing towards the front of the face. This is my final zone. Notice I've got the very, very short hair underneath. I'm going to take diagonal closer to vertical sections. I'm going to use the guide from section 1 in zone 5. I'm going to pull the hair up, use quite a lot of tension. Now section 2, 3, 4, 5 is travelling towards section number 1. Now that I've blow dried and ironed the hair, my goal now is to make the haircut come alive. Before I start freehanding and pointing and refining the internal lengths, I want to get the external lengths nice and sharp and clean to really get my eye to focus on all the lengths inside marrying together. So I'm going to use a pointing, chipping and club cutting techniques. So I've come to the end of my look, and all I'm doing is I'm using some of the more inside the strong hairspray, make it feel a little bit dirtier, a little bit less kind of sleeky. And my process through this haircut has been one of self-exploration. The objective today is to basically play with hair together. We've got our amazing team with us.
I'm just going to start on the top, get rid of hair. No, it's probably a good thing for me because I'm an overthinker, so I can't think too much right now.
I can carry on from where she left off. I could start a different zone. I want to get Kate to come in and walk into something that she's not expecting. I'm going to leave her out so she walks into that.
My mind's a bit blank at the minute. I'm going to come from the front on this side. Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm going to start to connect stuff together. Train yourself to react, respond, and adapt your thought process.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of see something's happening now.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, that was cute. Because obviously she's midsection, I'm actually going to continue the haircut. So I'll come across this way diagonally. From a personal point of view, I found it quite challenging seeing Kate cutting a section of hair that I've already cut. I start to feel a bit more boldly now.
3, 2, 1, go. I think it would look quite nice if it's a bit more connected in the back. 3, 2, 1.
Liking the little bits of length around the shorter shape.
I was going to go here, but I don't think I'm going to, but I've got it. Blue is one of my favourite colours because there's an infinite amount of blues.
Oh wow. I was surprised. I thought if there was anything that was long, she would have gone for that. So I'm just going to do like a little bit of a melt. We're going from almost like a level 7 copper and then into a blue.
I'm going to carry on here and I'm going to switch it round.
Today was a really interesting day because I never questioned whether or not my team would be able to adapt and develop. They're at a level where they're very comfortable with what they do. But it was interesting watching their brains work.
What have we got? So I've mixed up some black. It was fun to be quite creative, but it was difficult not having control.
I'm just going to finish off that bit then. Want to make sure that it looks nice.
Nice neat little bit left. The colours that I've got and how I can, because I can obviously see the colour that Maddie's put in here. Blue, obviously there's a green there, so I'm thinking of using the blue next to the green. I kind of want to do it, but I don't. Oh. When you've been cutting hair for a long, like many years, it was nice to just throw you out your comfort zone.
That's good. Okay.
I like these, the long lengths next to the shorter lengths. So I actually had a lot of fun today.
That was a good learning experience for me. It was an interesting process.